Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lady K Chat podcast. I am your host, Lady K, and today I'm going to be telling you a little bit about today's show, which is called Almost Didn't Make It. This is where I get to interview my guest, Miss Kelisha Mills, and this is the first time she is ever opening up about how her marriage almost ended and how her business went south and how when God stepped in and intervened, the marriage was saved and so was the business. Stay tuned at 6 p.m.
The following podcast is a Lady K Enterprises production.
Lady K.
Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Lady K Chat, a podcast that is designed for all women to become better versions of themselves, which is broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Various subjects will be speaked upon, such as relationships, personal development, health and wellness, wealth building, children, and so much more. She is a two-time Amazon best-selling author, an international speaker, and life coach. She is Kalima, aka Lady K. And now for your host, Lady K.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in into this episode of Almost Didn't Make It. And ladies, we know how that goes. Sometimes the relationship almost didn't make it, but you hung in there and you got through it. And you're so wonderful through God's grace. You and your husband were able to stay and reconcile the things in your marriage. So today I have a wonderful guest, and I'm actually going to let her share her story, how divorce almost took her there, how she almost got divorced, but she made it. And God's grace and hand was on her marriage. Can you please welcome Miss Kelisha Mills? How are you today?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, Miss Mills. Listen, I'm so excited today because I want to give the ladies some type of, good things, because sometimes people, make it in divorce court and, they don't have great experience, or someone is on the verge. I need to let you tell them when they're on the verge, how can they rekindle? Because you can tell your story best, but let's please inform us how, your marriage almost led you to a divorce court, but you was able to save it.
Sure. I'm so excited to share about this because I haven't spoken about this publicly like ever.
Wow.
So
It's a pleasure.
yes. And I am so excited because I believe now is the time for it to be released, and I'm so excited to share.
Absolutely. The floor
Yeah,
is yours.
so for me, my husband and I have been together now 10 years, being married. Um, and together almost 15 years. So we would have started early on in business. Now, that in itself is a key point, because when you are married and you are also business partners, one of the things that was a challenge for us was that we did not know when to separate business from when it's time to really talk about things in our personal space. So everything, every question I would ask, or every question he would ask me, was about business and what do we have to do here, where do we have to go, what do we have to get, so focus on ourselves was very limited. And being in business, we started off really fast, meaning that success for us came very, very quickly. So we had a business idea. And, I know in everything that I'm sharing here, it was supposed to happen. And I believe that's how God wanted it to happen. Right. So I don't regret anything. I consider everything as a learning experience and a growing experience. So that success, as I said, came so quickly, and we did not know how to manage that. So money came into our hands very quickly in large sums, right? And from being a couple that, we were just normal to having all of this extra income and not knowing how to manage that. That was another key challenge that caused us to not focus on ourselves, right?
Okay, can I chime in real quick?
Sure.
So it was challenging because one, both of you didn't know how to deal with the money coming in, and
Yes.
then two, you guys didn't make time for you because everything was all about business.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Yes. All right. So when that started to happen, so we would have increased travel. We moved from where we were into a larger house, right? And, you know, the lifestyle that comes with having more money, because, you know, when you get more money into your hand, your lifestyle changes. So you
Right.
buy more things, you spend on more things, right? And as I said, we did not manage that well. So this was in 2007 when the recession in 2009 hit. We were left in a really, really challenging spot because now persons are not buying as before. Government is holding back on their purchasing. And now you have all of these bills to pay on the monthly basis because at that time, our business place was located in a mall. So you can imagine the rent that you pay in
Right.
a
The
mall.
overhead.
Yes, and we also had a mortgage to pay, right? Because it was a franchise that we bought. So all of that, it put us in a place now. Instead of being in a positive cash flow, we were within a month in negative and not knowing how to move forward. So just as I said, if we did not focus on ourselves, then we were left in this place of, okay, what do we do now?
Right.
Right. So after that started to take place, now we had the new challenge of, you know, what are we going to do? We don't have money. We don't have that amount of income coming in. And the next challenge of a relationship is money. When you don't have money, you know all of the things that can come where you start to feel resentment.
Right.
You know, you feel one person is not pushing their weight, and you know that overall feeling of not having enough, and that itself started to cause a strain on our relationship.
Right.
So with all of that, you know, as a woman, I started to feel as though, well, you know, my husband is not doing what he needs to do, you know, and what I failed to realize is that this situation was not affecting me alone, right? It was also affecting my husband, and I didn't see that. I didn't think about that. And feeling, you know, a man not being able to provide, not being able to have his family in a stable place,
Correct.
right? I was not considerate of that. And that caused him also to pull away from me. So we are now both pulled away from each other.
Right.
And, you know, at that time, we were both also very involved in our ministry. So with all that I would have said before, think about having responsibilities at your church, right? There was absolutely no time for us to come together and to really sort this out. Our leader at the time, you know, was pretty involved. And I would say this as another point where you and your husband should try to solve your challenges on your own and not involve, not make one person a deciding factor then in your relationship. And that was so key. You know,
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. That was the key advice that you got from a minister?
No, that it was not any advice given by the minister.
Okay.
I'm saying that I let the minister make decisions for us.
Ah, I see.
Yes,
Okay, we're
on
getting
what we
somewhere.
should do, where we should go. And I know that there is a place now. I don't want to say not to listen to your pastor, your leader, but there is a place where both of you, right, the two that have become one, where you need to make the decision on where you are going for your relationship, for your life together.
Absolutely, because I just want to chime in and say this. They say when you get married, there's three chords. You know why there's three chords? Because that's God's presence in the two of you. So absolutely, I do agree. If someone, they can give you the best advice or they want to, but sometimes it may not be for you. And that's why, yes, you do have to come to that common ground between those two people and allow God in and make a decision. Am I right?
Yes, definitely. God is really that third person in your relationship, the only one that has access and who has the final say. And when you realize that and you come together and you pray and you wait for that decision from God, because He always reveals things sooner or later, you would know, okay, this is what we have to do. And sometimes, as much as we would like to say that it should work out, sometimes for the sake of purpose, it doesn't, right? But we would all love that it always works out, all right? But as I'm saying, that you should let God be that deciding factor.
I have a question for you, Kelisha.
Sure.
What would you say is the one thing that you did that contribute to your marriage for the turnaround to take place?
Well, it may seem, I don't know, it may seem a bit odd, but I released that third person, which then was my pastor, from my marriage. Yes. And that is the thing that I'm saying, that I've never shared that anywhere, right? I listened to what he would have told me. I took advice, and that was not in my husband was never present when those advice was being shared.
Oh,
right?
That's a big no.
Yes.
I don't like that. That should never be,
Yes. And I think it was a growing thing for me. And I believe, I really was a lot naive, right? And I didn't stand because of all of the things that were happening in my life. I felt as though I was out of control, that I didn't know what to expect or what to do next. And as I said, my husband and I, we were not at that place of that talking. And that's what I'm saying, that you too need to decide what you are about to do.
Absolutely. And I also believe too that the Holy Spirit will relieve it and release it to you. Because He always says, I may not come when you want, but I'm always on time. He's always there at the appointed time. And that's what makes him so him. And it's like, and this is why we fall in love with him. But I also feel like too, once we fall in love with God, and then we clearly hear the instructions that He's given us, I think that our life can be so much easier. But like you said, we're hard-headed, but at the same time too, I understand we have to experience life so we know what we did wrong so we can correct it.
Yes,
And it seems like this listening to your story, you and your husband did a lot of growing together. And that's the thing. People act like when they say, I do, that's just it. No, it's going to come with some testing waters. And it seemed like you guys went through experience, not enough money, then coming into a large amount of money, and then going back down again. It was like an emotional roller coaster, it seems like.
Yeah, it was. And once we came together again, and once we shifted that focus back, to ourselves, when we became that one unit, because I could tell you definitely we were not one. He had his ideas and I also had my ideas. So we were not one. So the key thing is to keep in that oneness, and your goal and your vision has to be the same. So you both are working towards the same thing, right? So keep that vision always in front of you. When you don't have money, when you don't know what to do next, and okay, you have your own ideas, your husband would have his own idea, and you are not focused on that vision. And as I said, other persons were in play, so it's like, what are we really doing here? So really keeping focus on that vision is so key to a successful marriage.
Thank you. And before we wrap up, Kelisha, I have one quick question for you, because I know I asked you what was the one thing that you changed that made your marriage turn around. Mm-hmm. Can you please share what was the one thing that your husband changed to also do it on his part?
I think he took back up that leadership role. And yes, because, I think that he was also in a place of trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? And he was leaving me, to my own decisions and stuff like that. But when he said, listen, this is what we are doing, right? And he took back up that leadership role, and he brought us back to that same vision. I think if he did not do that, if he didn't put his foot down, then things would have continued. So this is the key role of the husband in the relationship. You are the leader. You are the one to direct and to hold things together with your structure, with, all of the things that you would do to keep the family together. So I would say, keep that masculine role, keep that leadership role, and you would, with the grace of God and the guidance of God, steer that ship of your family.
Right. So I do have one more thing. I know I told you I had one last question, but I kind of feel, I'm sorry, because something triggered in my head, because, you said it sounds like you guys are a better space and place. Are you guys still in business together now, or is your journey individual?
No, we are together. We are in business together. Let me tell you, right now, we have about 3 different businesses. Things change so much. Let me tell you, you won't even believe, from being in 2007 to 2009 to 2013 in a really dark place, because we would have had to move back in at my mom-in-law's house, right? Since we made that decision and came back together as one and brought that vision back, things have changed so drastically. Last year, 2019, it was our biggest year in business, and I believe it was because we had that one vision. So I know it would not have happened if we were going along that same path. So yes, we are in business, and we have multiple businesses right now.
That is wonderful. And I love hearing stories, that end up where you stayed together, instead of drifting apart, because it's bigger than us, it's bigger than our children. God does know what's best. But Kelisha, I thank you so much for sharing your story. It was very inspiring. And can you please share your information just in case anybody want to get in contact with you?
Yeah, sure. You could always get in contact with me on my website, www.kelishamills.com. You could also find me easily on Facebook at Kelisha Mills Online, as well as on Instagram at Kelisha Mills.
Thank you, Kelisha. I appreciate it. And you can continue to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Lady K Chat. On my website at www.ladykay, and K is spelled Kay, enterprisesinc.com. Thank you, everyone. You have a great night. Lady